Hi brothers and sisters, Naomi back for a short video probably. I actually pinned a comment under one of my videos. It was Mikael will stand for Israel was the name of the video. And I pinned it there because I didn't really have anywhere else to put it. And I thought it was an interesting comment, a correlation to connect for anybody who bothers to read the comments under the videos. And I had thought anybody hitting on the video, well, you know, they might be able to put some of this together. So I thought it was important enough, I got thinking about it, to actually make a video and read the comment that I wrote, because it's a very lengthy one and maybe not all that easily understood unless you're picking this theology up, and most aren't. But this is the comment, okay? And this is based on my understanding and my study of Jeremiah 23, which we did in several of the videos. It's included in much of the studies that we've been doing, in many of the studies that we've been doing. And Ezekiel 38, the correlation that it has to Ezekiel 38. And there's no bypassing the understanding once you understand that it is she that is addressing those men. That's what you need to understand, quite simply. So this is the comment that I wrote, and again, I'm probably going to have trouble reading it because it's very small, it's very tight together, it's not double spaced, so it's hard to read and keep track of, so forgive me if I lose my place from time to time. But this is what I wrote under the video. It said, "Can't help but to see a strong correlation between these two verses, as word and sword are actually interchangeable in many cases in the Bible. So see if you can see a correlation between the verse in Jeremiah 23 and Ezekiel 38. Now I don't have them up. I actually have a different passage up. But I'm going to go to them right now. I should have went to them earlier. Forgive me for this. Okay, so we'll go to Ezekiel 38 is there. I should mark that with a paper. Okay, so Ezekiel 38 is there. Just so we can go back and forth on these. And Jeremiah is, what is it, 23. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Jeremiah 23 and Ezekiel 38 are the two passages that we're actually going to look into a little bit. We're going to see if we can see a correlation between the two. And this is a very strong correlation in my opinion. You don't have to agree, and that's fine. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to disagree with each other. And so here we go. Jeremiah 23 is all about the men who spoke about the burden of the Lord. Now, we did a video on this a long time ago. I actually can't remember right off the video's title. So again, I'm going to actually go in and I'm going to look at the title here. Okay, so the title is, what is it called? It was one that I did a long time ago, at the very beginning. Sorry about this. Okay, the video was called, and this was all to do, okay, so I had more than one that I did. Like I said, I did quite a few involving this particular passage in Jeremiah 23. But I know for a fact that two of them, one of them's called Woman's Mantle, the Great Shaking, and the Return of the Daughters of Zion. So I'll actually pin that under this video. And the other one that I did was called Removing the Yoke, Our Transformation, the Snare of Daughter Zion. So I'll pin that one too. So in both of those videos, we studied Jeremiah 23 to a degree. I don't know how deep I went into study on them. And there's probably several other videos that I did too. I'm not remembering them right offhand. But Jeremiah 23 is all about the men who spoke about the burden of the Lord. Alright? And in our study, we come to realize what the burden of the Lord actually was by putting passages together. Okay? And the burden of the Lord, they were considering the deliverance of the children through a she God, the true God. All right? which was the deliverance of the children through, of course, a female god. And they began to refer to this deliverance of the children as the burden of the Lord. All right? That's what they began to do. And that's what we recognized in our studies the more we began to comprehend how they completely dismissed the feminine out of the Bible and wrote everything he. All right? Simple reasoning in this creation. God says, you adhere to my creation, at least to a degree. And to the formula that I created was male and female, body and spirit. We are a twofold unit. We are not a triune, as they like to teach. And when you look the words up for the spirit, oftentimes you'll find heart, soul, and mind all linked back to the spirit. Why? Because your spirit controls all of those. All of those things, your spirit. If you have a wicked spirit, you're going to have wicked thoughts, wicked emotions, and your soul's going to be wicked. All right? If you have a righteous spirit, then you're hopefully most of the time going to have righteous thoughts, good thoughts. You're going to have good emotions, positive emotions, and a good soul. All right? And so for them to say we're triune, we're a trifold being, that's a barefaced lie, just based on studying body and spirit. That's what we are. We're a twofold unit. We're male, we're female, we're body, we're spirit. Remember the woman was breathed into the man in the beginning? Hello? You seeing a correlation yet? No, but you're taught not to use your reasoning. You're taught to listen to man-made words on a page as opposed to sense and reasoning. We do not see he as Godhead here on earth. We see male and female. And that's why God says you're without excuse. Now understand, as they began to twist the laws of God and man began to take control of the laws, they began to subvert the truth. They began to flip it around. And that's precisely what they were doing here. All right? So they were saying the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. They were saying that the deliverance of the children was really too much for a female God. All right? That's what we come to understand. And they began to speak words of false prophecy, saying he had sent them when she, the true God, had not sent them. All right? So this is where men began to prophesy in the name of Baal. All right? So if you go in and you read Jeremiah 23 with the understanding of this exact theology, then you'll understand what Jeremiah 23 is addressing, along with what is actually being addressed in Ezekiel 38. And if you go in and you watch them 2 other videos, you'll find they correlate to other passages as well. That fills out this deeper understanding, if you're willing to open up your sense and reasoning instead of letting men cut you off at the knee. Now, I'm going to address something here before I continue on. And that is that I haven't allowed comments on my videos. And early on, I had opened up the first, 6 videos, probably 7 videos I pinned to comments. And there was several comments made, and I found myself getting caught up in that argument as opposed to pursuing my climb in the truth. And Mother said to me, the Spirit said to me on 3 occasions, and this is how I knew I was to do this. She said, you are not to argue your case, you are to present it. And she told me that 3 times. Now, I can easily get caught up in an argument. I'm not a great arguer. I don't like to argue. I'm very sensitive. I find I'll generally step back and just let the other person say what they have to say and generally not even address it. But it's easy when you're on the other side here to write words out. It's a lot easier to do that and to even get sidetracked onto something that you normally wouldn't. God said, dismantle or disable your comment section, because she said, I need you to follow me exclusively on this. Or she said, you're going to have your knees cut out from under you. And that's precisely what many comments are intended to do. They're meant to take your legs out from under you and to stop you from climbing to the truth. And that's why I'm addressing this. This is why I did not open my comment section, because they take the wind out of your sails. All right? And God says, allow me to show you the truth, and do not get sidetracked by these people who are only intent on hurting you. All right? And I hurt easy. I'm not saying other saints don't, but I tend to be very sensitive at heart. I know I come across as a big old fierce creature, but I'm really not. So anyway, that's the reason why I disabled my comments early on, was because Mother said, you continue to follow me. You do not get sidetracked, and you present, you don't argue. And I realize there's times that I myself have gotten quite fierce in my presentation, almost in an argumentative and combative way. And I don't mean to do that. It's just my nature. I ask for forgiveness on that. It's something that I work at overcoming all the time. Not to be so fierce in my responses. So, here we go. It says, this is where the men began to prophesy in the name of Baal. Now, the name of Baal, capital B, is Hebrew number 1168. But if you go back one number, 1167, it's B-A-A-L, and it's going to mean your husband, all right, as your Lord and your master. So this is an important understanding that we take away from the God Baal to your husband as Lord and master, which is Baal. And Mother says in Jeremiah 23, and she's addressing her daughters here, I believe. She says, you forgot my name for Baal. You forgot who I told you Baal was, which is your husband who wanted to rule over you as your Lord and your master. And she says, I'm going to take that name out of your mouth because he's not your Lord and your master. I am. And they'll have in Hosea too, because that's where that passage is that you'll find. I'll remove the name of Baal out of your mouth. They have it as if it's a husband talking to a wife. Oh, there we go with man-made religion. A husband's got to rule in or reign in that wicked woman of his and teach her the truth, and he's got to clean her. Well, I can tell you one thing my husband has never done. He has never cleaned me. Never. My mother might have bathed me and bathed me as a child, but my husband has never cleaned me. Never. And but that's the theology that they teach, and that's what keeps you subjugated under those man-made laws, because that's the theology that they began to teach, which is what this is driving at. So it says, this is where men began to prophesy in the name of Baal, in the name of your husband. Your husband began to prophesy, but in the name of he. And then it became he for the Christians. It remained he for the Hebrews, or for the Israelites, or for the Jews or Judea. It remained just a he, all right? But this is where the shift over began, and they started saying, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. And so we bring in the burden of the Lord actually in Jeremiah 30, verse 6. But we're not going to say that right now. Okay, so, and they began to steal the words of his sister, because it was the daughters of Zion that prophesied in the name of Mother and gave the laws, the righteous laws, and the rules of heaven to govern mankind, which was known as the daughter Zion's birthright. All right? Man was her birthright to indwell as the Spirit, to govern, to teach the laws of heaven. Here, they began to steal the words out of their sister's mouth, is what it looks like. And it appears it is at this appointed time, all right, where in the events of Ezekiel 38, that God begins to bring to pass what she said what would come to pass in Jeremiah 23, all right? So she warns them and threatens them. If you take my word and you twist it, and you keep saying the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord, and you keep prophesying through a false god, then she says, I'm going to bring to pass that these words will become your burden to carry. All right. Now we've established what that burden was. It's the deliverance of the children. Now the events in Ezekiel 38 are those events fulfilled by that threat that Mother God made to them in Jeremiah 23. Now, I hope I said that in a manner that you can comprehend, okay? But really, if you go watch them other two videos, and I will pin them under this one so you can just hit, hopefully, and it'll take you to them. And you should watch them and understand how they began to really take control of the word and to then begin to shape it as a he or a he, in the manner that they want it to shape it, which then becomes their burden to carry, which is the events that unfold in Ezekiel 38. So let me read it here. And it appears it is at this appointed time, which are the events of Ezekiel 38, that God begins to bring to pass what she said would come to pass in Jeremiah 23, that every man's word, sword, all right? Word is equivalent to sword in most passages, once you understand. But that every man's word, sword, would become his burden, it says. Ezekiel 38:21. What does it say? And I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Who's the sovereign Lord, as we've come to understand? The sovereign Lord here is 136. That's daughter Zion, whom mankind rejected a covenant with, as the righteous spirit that would govern the body. She was the righteous spirit that had initially been given to man in a covenant, and they rejected her righteous rule, determining that they wanted a harlot in covenant with them, whereupon they would write and govern them themselves, which is where this is the beginning of the twisting of the word. Actually, it began a long time ago, but and we've done videos on that. But it says, and I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. 136, that's daughter Zion. Every man's sword, word, all right, in brackets, I put word, will be against each other. What do we got going on right now? We got religion against religion. We got word against word. We got sword against sword. Word against word. Now join that to what God threatened would happen with their lies and the twisting of her word if they did not stop. So in Jeremiah 23, verse 36, this is what she said. And the burden of the Lord shall ye mention no more. For every man's word, sword, shall be his burden. All right? His to carry. For ye have perverted the words of the living God, of the Lord of hosts, our God. That's mother. And she gives her truths to her daughter Zion, which she then gives in covenant to man. All right? Which is her creation. Then this understanding links us to the passage in Isaiah 46, where the images, which come by way of speaking lying words, which are idols, that are now become burdensome to carry, which is representative of their own words that have gotten heavy and they can't make sense out of them, and they men have fallen for their own lies, their snares, their own snares set by their own hands, and they cannot deliver the burden, the children, because only the women, or only the woman, the righteous spirit, daughter Zion, could do this and can do this, and because of the lies of the false prophets, right? So the threat is coming true. It's fulfilling itself because they didn't adhere to what she was telling them. So, where am I now? It says, their lying words have become a sword against them. Through each other's lying words that are prophesied falsely, they have all turned on each other with their swords, with their words, with their false religion, which is the burden that has fallen on them because of their false prophesying. In the beginning, these men, and it is men, were joined together to turn on the righteous daughter Zion and to steal her words that had been sent by Mother God to deliver the children, the burden. But in the end, their words have come to divide them, and with their swords, they all turn on one another. Their own religions, their own man-made religions are turning on each other. The fact that they are uncircumcised, meaning they have a covenant with the harlot, meaning that harlot said, go ahead, you make your own laws. That's what the harlot did. And that's the harlot that they hide in their heart. She says, no one sees me in Isaiah 47. And that means that they're hiding the fact that their covenant is with the harlot, which is this man-made religion that puts a man in charge of it all. He, to even deliver children, to even form children and create them and birth them. It's a he. And she says, if you keep twisting my words, she says, your own word is going to come back on you just like a sword. And lo and behold, we got it happening right now. But at this time, it says the fact that they are uncircumcised, meaning they have a covenant with the harlot, will be exposed at this time, according to Habakkuk 2:16. And it is, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Lying and false male images will never save anyone, and they won't. The only one that can and will and ever could deliver the children burden was the Creator of all things, Mother God Almighty, and her daughter of Zion, daughters of Zion that were given in covenant to man to teaching the laws of heaven. The lying prophets will pay for their lying words, because it is what comes to divide them asunder like a two-edged sword. They kill each other. They cannot deliver. And the word you'd want to look up there would be 3444 Hebrew. Jeremiah 30 verse 6, what does it say? Why now do I see every man standing with his hands on his hips, as a woman in travail, and every face turned pale? Do we understand it now? Do we understand it now? Because there it is. Their lying words have now become their burden. All right? And that burden is the deliverance of children. And you can't deliver children through a false theology, through a lie. You cannot. What they did to daughter Zion in Habakkuk 2:15, causing her to birth, that's in Isaiah 26:18, empty doctrines, in effect putting her in constant pain, travail, because of the wine that they put to her lips. Now that was in Habakkuk 2:15, to make her drunk on empty and false doctrine and make her play their harlot, expose her nakedness. Now that comes upon them, and their own uncircumcision is exposed. Because to have a covenant with the harlot Babylon means man exalts himself and debases his righteous sister, the daughter of Zion. He is exalting the harlot in his heart, but he's been exposed now. The fact that he is not circumcised becomes exposed. The covenant that fallen Adam is preaching at us as the truth of heaven is in fact the covenant with the harlot spirit. It is not with the righteous spirit. All right? Christ came to claim her as the righteous spirit that governs the body, because he's the new heir, representing the new heir. So if he's the new heir representing the body, then she's the spirit that he claimed for himself to govern this body. And he says, you can blaspheme me and get away with it. You will not blaspheme the daughter Zion when she manifests on this earth in truth. You will not blaspheme her and get away with it. She's your life, and without her you die. All right? So this is what this is actually coming up on. You see it in the world. You see it exposed. All right? The fact that he is not circumcised becomes exposed. Daughter Zion now rises up with the truth and takes back her vineyard that was always hers. And that's what's alluded to in Song of Songs. Where is it? Which we've done this many times, this passage many times. Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 6. What does she say? She says, Look not upon me because I am black. Black means to be without doctrine, to be without truth, to have empty doctrines in your mouth. All right? Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children, sons, were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. You see? So you see what they did, how this is all adding up for anybody who wants to study. And so she now rises up with the truth and takes back her vineyard. That was always hers. The birthright belongs to the daughter of Zion. It does not belong to no man. It never did. That was part of the lies that they started spinning off. And Mother says, those lies is going to turn on you and they're going to become a sword and they're going to kill you. Zechariah 2:7. Deliver thyself. They don't like to put daughter Zion, but they have no problem saying daughter of Babylon. It's daughter Zion. Deliver thyself, O daughter Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. She's always been here, and she is called the key of David laid upon his shoulder. Do you understand that? Right? That's what Christ died on the cross for. So she could rise up and stop buying in to these lies of man-made religion. Let the Spirit lead you into all truths, because that's what the Spirit's role is. All right, now I'm at 25 minutes. I don't know. I was gonna do, and I might, let me see here. How long is this? It's not very long. All right, so I might just read through it quite quick. All right, but you know, the correct interpretation in Psalm 2, it's actually the language and the dialogue. Once you understand your numerology or your numbers of who God is from Psalm 110, right? You have mother, who is 3068. Then to her right, you have her son, who she sent, all right? Which his number is 113. And she says to her son, I'll send the strength of your rod out of Zion. That's daughter Zion. That's his key of David. And her number is 136. Now, when you understand that, you begin to understand other passages that you couldn't necessarily understand correctly. Because, you know, if you pay attention to man-made theology, they're going to always make something male, 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 regardless. They're going to dismiss the feminine, all right, even if it is her. Now, in Psalm 2 it is. It's actually a discussion going on between mother and daughter in Psalm 2, once you begin to understand how to interpret it properly. So I'm going to just kind of read through it pretty quick. You have to use your brain when you're reasoning out text, all right? You can't just kind of skim through it and go, well, gee, I wonder what that means. You actually have to read it with the intent on understanding it. So it says, I wrote, the correct interpretation of Psalm 2 is actually Mother Lord, 3068, declaring her daughter, 136, as her daughter. That's actually what that is. And her anointed one. This has nothing to do with the son once you understand the dialogue. This part here, this Psalm 2, does not take into account the son. This is the dialogue going on between the mother and the daughter. All right? And what it looks like is she has finally gave an account of herself to the mother. That's what it looks like. A court proceeding has took place, and this is mother's answer to it, to the findings. All right, that's what it kind of resembles. So Psalm 2:1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Well, I put in brackets, the vain thing is man is God. Man is God. He, or he. It doesn't matter which religion you want to look at. They all are in uniform on that one. He, no she. Verse 2. The kings, that's men who set themselves up, of the earth, set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord, who is mother, the creator of all things. And they certainly did. They took counsel against her and her daughters to remove them completely out of the way, to empower themselves as gods on this earth. And that's just what you got going on. I don't know how anybody can't see that. How men have been empowered against you. And women have most part been made to take the blame for it all. She's been made the harlot. When they need a harlot to make them look good, then they'll simply create one. It's quite easy for them to do, really. Being in charge of the laws now, it's really quite easy for them to do. So this is what the men are saying against her, 3068, anointed one, in verse 3. All right? So, and the anointed one is daughter Zion. So, because that's the only number that gets mentioned here, is 136, and mother's number, which is 3068. There's no mention of 113. He's not here, all right, though they have it as a son. This is the daughter's appointment right here. Let us break their bands asunder. So this is what the men are saying against Mother God's 3068, anointed one, which is daughter Zion in verse 3. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. At least that's my current understanding of it. They do not want the law of heaven, so therefore they do not want mother cord, umbilical cord, is what I got there. So they want to break that band asunder. They don't want her as their mother. That's what they're saying. So in effect, daughter Zion's mother is mother from above, which is 3068, which then becomes mother of men, which is daughter Zion. And she claims men as her birthright. All right, because she's the righteous spirit that governs the body. Are we understanding that? All right. Verse 4. She that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. I was once told in a dream that God is the great reveler. I woke up with that phrase on my tongue. It said, I woke up with actually two. God is the great reveler. And it says, the Lord here is 136, shall have them in derision. What does derision here mean? It's 3932. To mock, deride. It comes up also in 2 Kings 19:21 with the daughter of Zion and mother Jerusalem, which are enthroned between the cherubim there. If you go pull up that passage in 2 Kings 19:21, she does the same thing there. She has despised you and mocked you. That's the virgin daughter Zion doing that. And you have the same word here. The Lord shall have them in derision. She's mocking them is what she's doing. And you get that clear reference in 2 Kings 19:21. All right? So daughter Zion speaks, and it is her wrath, 136, and Psalm 110, that strikes through kings in the day of her wrath. And that's what she's addressing here. She that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. She's striking through kings in the day of her wrath. That's what that's an allegory, an allusion to. Verse 5, then shall she speak unto them in her wrath. They've never heard her speak yet. She's getting ready to. And she will vex them in her sore displeasure. So Mother Lord 3068 is speaking this verse in verse 6. Yet have I set my queen, not my king. She's talking about her daughter Zion 136, which you found in verse 4. All right? That's her number. So it's not 113. It's not the king here. Yet have I set my queen, not king, upon my holy hill of Zion. This is daughter Zion. She is the branch of his strength, of Christ's strength, that sits to mother's right in Psalm 110. And for anybody who thinks it's Christ sitting to Christ's own right hand, there are distinct separate three lords with distinct powers that each of them are imbued with. And you'll know that there are three simply by the passage in Genesis 18. All right? So here we have, she has set her holy queen. That's daughter Zion. All right? And she is queen of the earth. She is. And so daughter Zion now declares the decree that is given to her by Mother Lord, which is 3068. All right? So in verse 7, it is daughter Zion declaring the decree that her mother gave her. All right? Once you understand this, go in and look at it for yourself and reason it out. Verse 7, I will declare the decree. The Lord, 3068, my mother, hath said unto me, that's daughter Zion 136, thou art my daughter, not my son. This day have I begotten thee, have I birthed thee. How are we told we are birthed? We are birthed through truth. This daughter is birthed through truth taught to her in the Spirit. All right. She, 136, continues speaking what Mother Lord, 3068, has spoken to her. And she's 136. In verse 8, ask of me, says my mother, says God, 3068, and I shall give thee the nations, that's the Gentiles, for thine inheritance, and the ends of the earth for thy possession. That takes us right back to Isaiah 49, where she promises her daughter that she will clothe them all like a bride doeth. She'll clothe them all as precious jewels, as a bride doeth. She's talking to her daughter's spirit here, who man rejected a covenant with. And she says, they will all come back to you. She says, I'll enlarge in your birthright. You will not only possess Israel as your birthright, you will now possess all of the Gentile nations. But once she wakes up from her sleep and she begins to understand who she is and what her role is, which is to teach the truth of heaven to her children, not his, they're hers. All right? That's what that passage is in Song of Songs 1:6. All right? Ask of me, Mother says, after she's presented her case and she's been found innocent of all the accusations by the harlot that accuses her and by fallen Adam that accuses her. But her beloved never accused her. Not once. He's with her. All right? Ask of me, and I shall give thee the nations for thine inheritance, and the ends of the earth for thy possession. All right, Mother Lord 3068 continues speaking these words to her daughter Zion, 136. The daughter Zion is still declaring in verse 9, Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. All right? What's a potter's vessel? It's an allusion to the clay, to the body, to the wicked men that rejected her as their righteous spirit and ruler of the body. All right? And she is the branch, the power that comes out of Zion. So, daughter Zion is speaking what Mother God, Mother Lord 3068 instructs. Verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings of the earth. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord. That's Mother. That's Mother's number 3068. She is saying you serve me by serving my appointed daughter Zion. My righteous spirit I gave you in covenant. That's how you serve me. With fear and rejoice with trembling. Verse 12. What does she say? Mother Lord 3068. Threat to those who do not bow to her and her anointed one, who is daughter Zion, is given in verse 12. Kiss the daughter, not the son. Kiss the daughter, lest she be angry, and ye perish from the way, when her wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in her. In who? In the righteous spirit. And it is her wrath. We're told it's her wrath in Psalm 110. And she will strike through kings in the day of her wrath. This is all about declaring Mother's daughter. That's what this passage is all about. And when you see the two numbers in it, it's 3068 and it's 136. Never does the king appear in here. Never does 113 appear there. All right? So, you disagree with me because very few is understanding it. But you understand the age of innocence, ignorance, is coming to an end. And it says, I'm beginning to understand this a bit more and more. It says that her truths, once she begins to rise up and stands up, it even reaches to the dead. Those that have passed on, that truth even reaches to them. Now, I actually did a video and the Spirit told me not to put it up. I did it about a month and a half ago. And she just would not let me put it up. She says, no, you can't put that up. You see, even the Lord holds back detail that the world is not ready or prepared to hear. If they're not even prepared to hear about her and her power and her daughters, then they're certainly not prepared to hear how it is all possible and what's been going on. And so anyway, there's a video. I'll post, like I said, them links to my other videos where I discussed Jeremiah 23 and some other passages and link them all together. And it might fill out your understanding greater. Very few are watching my videos. They're hardly moving at all. Sometimes I don't even think they're posting them. But at the same time, I realize man's got a hard heart when it comes to changing anything in the Word, because they've had it hammered at them so bad. You don't alter the Word of God. Sorry, men's been doing that for thousands of years. I don't know any male on the face of this planet with pure heart that isn't gonna take the Word and alter it. And yet we're told to put our faith in 50 men. a little over 400 years ago that translated the words, and oh, they did a perfect job. Not once did they take themselves into account and go, well, you know, it's really about us. Anyway, I'm not going to argue that. It's a fact. Look around you with your eyeballs, you know? So anyway, thanks for watching my video. Hope you do. Hope you go in and try to piece it together, because it's there. The understanding is there. A lot getting ready to happen, I think, in the very near future. I don't think we realize just how close we are. And again, I thank you. I thank Annie for watching and bearing with me through all my stumbling and staggering on words and giving the wrong passages and books when I really mean certain other books. So forgive me for that, and I thank you if you do. And pray the Lord blesses you in all that you're pursuing. And I hope you all have a really nice day. Thanks.